Who's heard of zero fatalities? Right? Crazy, me too, yeah. You've probably seen a lot of ads. I mean, I can see 2 right now, at least. So yeah, that's us. We just go all over Utah and talk about the safeties of driving, as well as Truck Smart. We talk about lots of deadly driving behaviors. So what are some of those? Maybe distracted driving, right? What are some types of distractions we have on the road? Phones, yeah, that's an obvious one. You know what the #1 distraction is for teens? Yeah, shout it out. Yeah. Yeah, friends are a big one, especially for teen drivers, for newer drivers. You put 1 person in the car, you're twice as likely to be in a fatal crash, 2 more, 3 times as likely, and so on. So you obviously want to pull you out of that hazardous situation, so make sure that you've got all your attention forward, which is where it needs to be. And then impaired driving. What is that besides drunk driving? Yeah.
Drugs, either prescription or legal.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously don't get in the car when you are impaired, and that can mean because you are drinking or you did drugs, even prescription drugs, so make sure you're taking things as prescribed. Then we got drowsy driving, which is just as dangerous as driving drunk. And aggressive driving, which is a lot of what we're talking about today. What are some symptoms of aggressive driving? Yeah, shout it out. Yeah, definitely.
Like tailgating.
Yeah, tailgating's a big deal. Got maybe red lights, trying to get through that yellow light really quick to get to work or class or something, or what else? Weaving in and out, slamming on your brakes, all that fun stuff, cutting people off. So we're going to talk about how to especially keep those intact around trucks. And then obviously buckling up, super important to do. And then #1, what was I going to say? The most effective way to save your life in a crash. Okay, so this is the division in the motor carrier, or part of the motor carrier division of Utah Department of Transportation. So that's why we have a truck here, and like I said, we're gonna go on out there, but when we do, there's a few rules. So first we're gonna just split into half, half on the passenger side, half on the driver's side, and we'll get in 2 at a time, and you'll sit up on there and you'll get an idea of what it's like to be in the driver's seat, literally. So yeah, we'll head on out there. So just remember that we got to maintain 3 points of contact. So out of your 4 limbs, you got to make sure the 3 are attached. So you're climbing up there. It's pretty tall. It's like high up, kind of like a ladder, almost a couple steps. So you want to make sure that you got 1 arm or 1 hand on 1 handle and 1 on the inside of the door or the seat or something, just to make sure that you are hanging on. And when you get out, it's the same thing. It's like coming down a backwards ladder. You want to make sure that you're maintaining 3 points of contact then as well. So we definitely want to keep you safe. We don't want you to break a face or something worse, so keep that in mind. So I'm curious, have you ever fallen out of your truck before?
No.
Perfect. We hope to be so lucky.
I shouldn't say that. I slipped and I was holding on to the steering wheel with this hand and pulled some muscles in my shoulder.
Yeah. So drivers are pretty famous for tearing a lot of rotator cuffs, and so that's definitely a risk that we don't want to, put you in that position. I had a driver in one presentation who told me that he fell out of his truck and he fell into oncoming traffic. Could have ended a lot worse for him, or just ended completely. But luckily he was fine because there happened to not be any oncoming traffic. But pretty intense. Anyway, luckily we're in a parking lot. We're not going anywhere. But so yeah, maintain that 3 points of contact to keep you safe, and we'll go ahead and head out there now. Okay, so what did you guys notice about the view up front? Right, just about. The blind spot up front is 20 feet. Do you know about how long our cars are typically? Yeah, they're about 12 to 15 feet long. So you could fit an entire car up in here, and the driver would have no idea that the car's here. In fact, there was a driver on the freeway. So there's a truck driver here, driver of a passenger vehicle over here, and they signal. They think they are getting in front of this guy, but totally misgage. They hit the headlight, and then it Yeah, whatever, yeah. Gets them sideways like this, and now they're being pushed down the freeway perpendicular to this truck at 60 miles an hour, or not this truck, but a truck at 60 miles an hour for 2 miles until a cop pulled them over and said, hey, do you know about your new friend up here? So you definitely do not want to go up against a big machine like this. Obviously you don't want to cut them off and do things like that, but there's just so much that can happen right in front here and the driver has no idea. So we need to definitely stay out of that space. And then again, 20 feet is just the first time they can even see anything. That's not necessarily a wise place to be. So they need plenty of space up front. And we'll talk about what that looks like when we get inside. Also, you notice that there are a lot of extra mirrors on this thing. The only ones required by law were the long ones off to the side, which are even more limiting. So luckily he's got these like ones that are like above the mirror or above the windows that he noticed and I didn't even notice. Then you've got these front ones that are helpful, but not all trucks will have those. So they're really reliant on those side mirrors. Okay, let's come over. Actually, okay, take a guess. Which side is more blind to the driver? The driver's side or the passenger side? Passenger side. All right, let's head over here. So because, it's angled differently, the driver is further away. He's looking into this rearview mirror to yield, and, he's way over here. It actually angles out, and it's like a diagonal line like this, and the blind spot extends up to 3 lanes, and sometimes more if the truck is bigger. So I've heard a driver call the left side the safe side and the right side the suicide, because you never want to be on the right side. It's not illegal to be on the right side of a truck, but it's not a good idea to stay there. So if you find yourself on the right side, make sure that you have space in front of you to pass safely, get out of the way, or pull back to a place where you can make eye contact with the driver, that's where you have the driver to see you, or pull back far enough and not pass. So you just don't want to be in a place where the driver isn't there for an extended period of time. Okay, let's move to the back. Okay, so obviously this thing is up real high. Like their bumper is way up here. Now imagine you've got the hood of a car maybe about here. If I'm following too close in my car, where am I going to go? Right, yeah, and if we get into a little fender bender, it would be typical because, yeah, I'd go under. I asked that question in the class, I said, where am I going to go? And someone said, to heaven, and I told them that was debatable, but it's traffic counts. So, yeah, so again, if you get into a crash with a vehicle like this and a car is so much smaller, it's not a battle you would win. So who's heard of drafting? Okay, this one's cute, yeah. I've never heard of it, but yeah, drafting is the idea that you're following so close, or close enough to a large vehicle like this to break wind resistance and actually save on gas mileage. Not only would you not really notice any type of difference until about here, but Mythbusters did a thing and canceled it, and it's not even real anyway, apparently. So hopefully I didn't give anyone any ideas. Not safe, not worth it, doesn't really work. So they definitely need their space. In fact, in the back, their blind spot is at least 200 feet. So that's a lot bigger than the one up front. We definitely need to give them tons of space behind them because they can't see. Yeah, that's about where he's at too. So about where that truck starts is where their blind spot ends. So who's able to see the truck behind them when they were up there? Yeah, it sounds like you guys were able to kind of, maneuver in the right place. You could see the truck behind you, but definitely very easily. Another reason that you obviously do not want to follow really close to a truck is because they can pick up debris. They're so high off the ground that if there's a mattress in the road or a bag of whatever or something that falls off a car, they can just drive right over it because they're high enough it just doesn't matter. But then you would have no idea it's there. It'll pick it up and it can go through your windshield. So you definitely want to give yourself a nice buffer to avoid anything like that. Okay, so if you're gonna, pick a side with the least amount of blind spot, it would be this side. But there's still definitely a pocket where the driver can't see anything. You might be driving right here and feel like, oh, the driver's right here, he can see me, we can practically high five, but that's not true because his field of vision is up here and you guys are down there. So it's still really hard to see. And that's what this mirror on the other side is good for, to see right underneath you. But again, they don't always have those. So a better place to drive, again, is making sure that you can see the driver's face in the window. That is about right here. So rather than being up right next to the driver where he can't see you, just back up a little bit. Yeah, like this. If you can see his face, you're golden. So that's a little rule of thumb for either side. Okay, let's head back inside. Okay, so who knows what the port of entry is? What happens with the port of entry? Why don't you tell us, Wayne? Shane. Shane.
Basically what you see, that metal part right there is a big old scale. They drive over it. There's a couple people sitting in the corner, the windows there. They pretty much checking your weight. They're checking your DOT number, your license plate, things like that. You'll see a flatbed stop here in a second. Usually they do. Anyway, they usually, especially in flatbeds, they usually check their straps, things like that, make sure their loads are strapped down like this.
Yeah.
Checking their straps, things like that. And usually if they feel like there's some thing that they want you to, they need to check out more, they'll pull you in and do a little more bigger inspection, check your paperwork, things like that.
Definitely.
Brakes.
Yeah, so it is a good checkpoint that all commercial vehicles are required to stop at, especially trucks with heavy loads. So they get weighed, make sure everything's secure, just like you said, check for the right kind of endorsements and license. So we've got, the safest drivers carrying all the big stuff. So Utah has 8 of these, and they see something like 8,000 trucks every day. So lots of moving traffic. Okay. And here's the Utah Trucking Association over in West Valley. What do you notice about this right here? Looks like a truck, right? Super passionate, following their dreams. Yeah, they handle lots of communications. They organize things like TruckSmart. So they handle a lot of that, port of entry, all that. Okay, so we know they're a big deal. Yes, one tire alone can pretty much squash our little brothers. So like we mentioned outside, our cars are maybe 12 to 18 feet long, something like 5 feet wide, 5 feet tall. And that puts it at about 3,000 or 4,000 pounds. So take a guess at how much a big, heavy loaded truck might weigh. Any guesses? Shane, how heavy is your truck?
Mine, that just there alone is legal to 63.
There you go, yeah. And then the semi, when fully loaded, that's about 60-something feet long, is at 80,000 pounds. So you load up his truck and you're looking at something like that too. So they're definitely beasts. So we cover maybe about 12,000 miles in a year, but that's what a driver could cover easily in a month. Sometimes less, sometimes more, but a good average is about 12,000 miles a month. So if you add that up for the year, what are we looking at? 144,000 maybe? Yeah. So if we were to add up all those miles that drivers in America drive every year, truck drivers drive every year, do you think we'd be able to make it to the sun? Round trip? How many times? So we'd be able to do that 2,200 times. So lots of miles, pack a lunch. Hopefully you got a good playlist, because that's a doozy. Okay, so if we were to put that route on a map, here is what we would be looking at, or all those miles on a map. This is the routes that they take. So you see tons back here. Then it picks up more in California again. I'm from this tiny town called Los Angeles, so they do a few things over there. And then you've got maybe like Walmart down in here, Coca-Cola over here. So there's all these ports where they're moving lots of stuff around. Obviously, you can kind of see it dissipate. But then it picks up in Utah. That's because we have 2 major freeways. What are they called? Yeah, 15. What's the other one? Yeah. So 15 and 80. They intersect perfectly and are often used as like a central hub to get from east to west, north to south. And that's why Utah is known as the crossroads of the West, because we see tons of commercial traffic. So we're looking at maybe 1 in 4 vehicles being commercial on our roads, 25%, which is almost twice as much as of other states, the average being something like 13%. So can you think of anything that hasn't ever been on a truck? We know they carry, food and fuel. What else? Yeah, try that.
Wood.
Yeah, wood. They carry cars. They get endorsements to carry liquids and livestock even. So they're just about everything that you can think of has been on a truck. I had a student say, well, what about the school? And I was like, well, everything including the wood and everything that is in the school and used to build the school has been on a truck. And also, even then, you've seen maybe a portable being pulled like as an oversized load, right? Maybe. So just about everything has been on a truck. So, here's some more examples. Some friends, right? No, maybe not. That's supposed to be close. But if you've ever ridden a bus, that they carry people commercial. So that can count. So let's say that if every driver in the U.S. stopped driving right now, how long do you think it would take for us to notice that, oh, they're out of the black iPhone, or they're out of the secret sauce? Like, how long do you think it would take for us to notice that some of the things are missing? Yeah, it would take 2 days before we're like, oh, shoot, we're missing stuff. So now take a guess at how long it would take for us to be in a zombie apocalypse, stand still, every man for himself, nothing's left, Independence Day. How long do you think that would take? So actually it only take about 5 days, so under a week. So they really are responsible for making sure that everything we use and need gets to where it needs to be. So huge props to them for making that happen every day. Okay, so what is a CDL? Yeah.
Commercial driver's license.
Right. So commercial driver's license, you have to be 18, it costs a few $1,000, and it's a few months. So it probably feels like a semester or a trade or something like that. Do you have anything you want to add about CDLs?
Usually at this point, they ask me what it takes to get a CDL. I usually tell them, back when I did mine, I was like, I can't remember, it was like 21, 22. Back in 1993, they used to have a program called just a professional driver's license, but they wanted to standardize it through the whole nation, so this is what they come up with, a CDL program, and they come up with a series of tests. As they come up with a series of written tests, just like a general test and an air brakes test. We'll cover that in a minute. And then if you wanted, it depends on what type of truck or bus you wanted to drive. Like a Class A would be like a combination, like you see here, tractor trailer, a truck and pump, things like that. And then you got endorsements for tankers, hazmat, doubles and triples. You see a lot of those on the road.
Yeah. Well done. Okay. So it's still a sad reality that we see 10 deaths every day nationwide because of crashes that happen with commercial vehicles. And on top of that, we see hundreds of injuries. And so I guess the good news, bad news situation with that is that 75% of the time, the person responsible for these crashes is the driver of the passenger vehicle. So that's the SUV, the sedan, the things that you and I drive. So the reason that that's good is that means that there's something we can do about it. If we're responsible for 75% of these happening, we can be responsible for every time they don't. And so that's why we're talking about this and changing those behaviors so that we don't turn into car salad like this. So what do you notice about this truck over here? Yeah, it's pretty much fine, right? You've got maybe some scuffage over here, a dent here, but the driver probably hopped out of there just like you guys did today, like totally, at least physically fine. This driver likely didn't make it. In the car itself, I don't think even putting it on a bowl of rice would save it. So how can we be truck smart? How do we, maneuver and avoid things like that? We need to understand that they can't always see you, which, we talked about those blind spots, and we'll talk about that some more. So we got to pass and merge with care because they can't always see us. They need lots of room. A thing that big needs more space than we do. And we need to understand how they turn because our roads are built for cars our size, not theirs, but they still need to adapt. So we'll be talking about that too. So what did you guys see in the rearview mirror?
Almost nothing.
Yeah, if they had one at all, you wouldn't see anything. So kind of a tricky question because, yeah, they don't even have one because you literally would only see the back of the truck or, yeah, that's it. Or maybe a bed back there like this one if they had it. So I guess really the only use for your mirror would be like looking at yourself like, why else would you use it? I don't know. So they don't even put them in. That's why they're so reliant on those side mirrors, and especially the longer ones because those are the only ones required. Okay, so here are these no zones that we were talking about. I think of it as like a blind radius rather than like a blind spot because every side of there's something to it. So up front, what's that blind spot up front? How big is it? Yeah, how about behind? Yeah, and on this side, about how many lanes? yeah, it can cover 3 lanes, and then this is kind of the sweet spot. And so then right next to the driver, not a great place to hang out.
No zones are the 4 large blind spots along the sides of a semi's tractor and trailer where truck drivers have limited or no visibility. As a driver, you need to be aware of all 4 blind spots. The right side no zone is the largest of the blind spots and extends up to 3 lanes over from the truck. This is why you should avoid passing trucks on the right. Cars driving in these blind spots contribute to most of our state's truck-related crashes. Remember, if you can't see a truck driver's face in his side mirrors, he can't see you. So stay out of the truck's blind spots and drive smart. Drive truck smart.
We'll have that memorized by the end of this. Okay, so that brings us to rule number 1. If you can see the driver's face, the driver can see you. So we'll rule of thumb when you are on either side of a big truck like that.
Tailgating and drafting behind a semi or driving too close to a truck's trailer to save on gas mileage are both dangerous and illegal. Trucks aren't cars. They can't respond as quickly, and they can't see vehicles that are traveling too close behind them. A truck's rear blind spot extends as far as 200 feet behind it. That's about 2/3 the length of a football field. So if you drive within an arm's length of a big rig, prepare for the worst. Just because there's a space behind a truck doesn't mean that a car should be there. If you're too close to a truck, you won't be able to stop in time. So give trucks plenty of personal space and drive smart. Drive truck smart.
If you're driving too close, you have less of an opportunity to slow down if and when you need to. And you want to be able to do that so you don't hit and go under or, get accordion style. Okay, so that, on the other side of that, if you're trying to pass a vehicle, they need tons of space up front too. So it's about 1 car length for every 10 miles an hour. So if we're cruising on the freeway at like 70 miles an hour, how many cars is that? 7, right? Yeah, okay. So it might be kind of hard to gauge. But, so let's say I'm getting ready to pass a truck. I'm on the left side. First, what do I do first? Signaling, I hope, right? Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm passing, I'm signaling, I'm getting ready to turn, or getting ready to cross over there. But how do I know it's been 7 car lengths? That's random. But once you can see both lights of the truck behind you in the rearview mirror, that's how you know that it's safe for you to pass, and they will love you for it. It gives them plenty of space, and that way they don't have to slow down and try to compensate, which is a lot harder for them to do than you. So get up to that reasonable speed, give them the space up front, wait for those 2 lights in the mirror, and then you are set. And it's a good rule of thumb to follow even for other vehicles too. So Shane, how often would you say you get cut off?
Oh. Keep on telling other people I can't count that high, I don't know.
Yeah. About a week ago, I was at Payson High School, and I asked that driver the same thing, and he was dead serious. He said, "Oh, it's gotten so much better. I only get cut off every like 30 minutes." So I guess that's a step in the right direction.
30 minutes? Wow, that's...
Okay, yeah, I guess that's all the rage, guys.
Must have a lot of highway driving there, a lot of city driving.
Yeah, probably. Actually, wait, yeah, down in Payson, I know he lives down in like Santa Cruz, so maybe he's sticking around down there, and that makes sense.
Passing a truck can be a risky maneuver, but it doesn't have to be. Cutting off a truck could cut your life short, and it's against the law. Signal your lane change well in advance, and when passing multiple trailer combinations, be aware that it will take nearly twice as long as passing a car. A good rule of thumb is 2 lights in the mirror or steer clear. Drive smart. Drive truck smart.
Friday night, I'm out into my heart. Said, son, use your feet. You got trouble.
Don't cut off truckers. Play it safe when passing a semi-truck. Wait for 2 lights in your rear view mirror or steer clear. And thanks ahead of time.
Look how happy he is. So again, really easy thing to do that helps both people involved out a lot. Okay, so drive to the mirror or steer clear. When you've got this view, awesome. Okay, so like you said, the football fields, they need twice as much space to stop as we do. So we take about a football field, that's, okay, it's about 300 feet. And then for them, it's like 525. So if we're both going 65 miles an hour, we're all, in an SUV, somehow we're all buckled in there, safe, cool. And then there's the other truck, and we're going 65 miles an hour, and we both decide to stop at the same time. A comfortable pace for us, it would just take a few seconds into the end of the football field, but they need much longer. So imagine that you cut off a truck, or whether you cut them off or you get in front of them and then just decide to slam on your brakes. Think about how much closer together you would get. Because if you're slowing down just this much, they're slowing down this much, and suddenly you're so much closer together than you would have been. Okay, so we talked about perception a little bit, our brake lag. So first you perceive what's happening around you. You're in the car, you notice other drivers, you notice the speed that you're going. That takes a few seconds, right? Then you've got reaction time, the time it takes for you to go, oh man, someone just got in front of me, I need to slow down or stop completely. And then there's the amount of time it takes to actually tap the brakes and come down to that reasonable speed or actually stop. So we've got that brake lag. But luckily we have, what type of brakes? Do you guys know? Fluid in there? Right, hydraulic brakes. And so they compress differently, and they're a lot easier and better for us to use. But truck drivers use air brakes too. So what's in a tanker? I don't know. Like those round trucks, what do they carry? Liquids, fuel, oil, water. So imagine they're driving down and, full of water, and someone cuts them off and they slam on the brakes. Where does all the water go? Yeah, it goes forward. And then once they finally do stop and they brake, then it comes back, forward and back, and then it kind of settles, right? So that's why they need an extra endorsement, because if the water actually pushes them forward, and so they have an even greater brake lag, and they need to learn how to stop taking that in, or need to learn how to stop while taking that into account.
When merging onto the highway, it's important to be extra aware of your surroundings. If you aren't, you may find yourself on a collision path with a semi-truck. Trucks have limited ability to move out of the way of merging vehicles, so it's each driver's responsibility to find a safe spot to enter the flow of traffic. Don't be careless when merging onto the freeway. Yield to oncoming traffic, especially semi-trucks, and drive smart. Drive truck smart.
All right, so when you're merging, it's usually more straight on like this. At least that's what I see around here. So you definitely want to give trucks more space than you think they need to. I'd say, when in doubt, just, you're at a reasonable speed, but slow down, let them pass, because getting in front of them can be risky, which we will talk about. So that brings us to rule number 3, do not meet a truck by accident. Remember that you need tons of space up front and in the back, so be mindful of that space. So the last thing we'll talk about is how they turn. So they turn much differently. If you think of dropping a slinky down the stairs, it'll turn exactly where gravity takes it, right? It can make that tight turn because it can curve that way. But imagine if it's like a block, it can't do that. So I'm even too young for this, but have you guys seen Friends enough? Yeah. I just love to do that. So it's like when Ross gets his new couch and he's trying to take it up the stairs and he's like, pivot! And he's like trying to move it back and forth and maneuver this big couch through this turn on the landing. It's kind of like that. Our roads are built for cars our size, not these big trucks. So when they're trying to make a turn, they don't even get to just pivot. They have to just adapt and make it work. So that's why you might see a truck in the left lane who's trying to turn, but how do you know they're trying to turn? Signaling, right? So if you were to approach a big truck like that, and they're in the left lane signaling right, you do not want to get up in that right side blind spot. Because they could not see you and hit just like this, or they know you're there and they have to let you and everyone else behind you go. Or they could lawfully call the police and say, hey, issues. Then the cops would come down and move your car and everyone behind you back so that the truck has room to make a turn. And that would take maybe an hour. And sometimes red lights feel about that long, but I'd say that's worse, and if that were my fault, I'd feel kind of dumb. Yeah, so definitely want to avoid that. So if you're in that blind spot when a truck is trying to turn, you could get caught up in there between the curb and the truck and get totally squashed. So we want to avoid that.
The fact is, trucks need a lot of room to make right turns. And when you try to squeeze past a truck making a right turn, everyone involved is in a tight spot. So never attempt to cut in along the right side of a truck, or you may be sandwiched between the turning truck and the curb. Remember, trucks will often pull into the left lane to provide extra space for making a wide turn. Always look for the turn signal on the trailer before attempting to pass. To avoid a collision, stop and wait for the truck to complete its turn. If you need to pass a truck that's making a turn, only pass on the left and drive smart. Drive truck smart.
So inversely, you might be, a truck might be passing over you perpendicularly. This could be true with any vehicle, so you want to make sure you avoid the obvious mistake that this car is making, which is what? Where should they be instead? Right. That line is specifically there to avoid anything like this, to keep you out of oncoming traffic. So definitely stay behind to avoid getting clipped.
The white stop lines at the intersections are there for a reason. When you ignore them, you place yourself in harm's way. Not to mention, crowding the intersection is illegal. Your 3,000-pound car up against an 80,000-pound semi means you don't stand a chance. Give trucks plenty of room to make left turns by stopping behind the white stop line. And drive smart. Drive truck smart.
Okay, so that brings us to rule number 4. You want to cut off the tank, so don't cut off the truck. Remember that at intersections especially, they maneuver much differently, and we need to adapt to that just as they are. Okay, so a little recap. What is the rule about the side mirrors when you're on the road next to a truck? Yeah, you can see the driver's face, they can see you. And then remember, when you're passing, you see the truck in the rearview mirror, the whole thing like that. Good. She likes the mirror stick there. Don't make a truck by accident. Remember that they need twice the amount of space that you do, both in the front and in the back. And do not cut off the tank or a truck. Probably more often a truck. I don't know how often you're going to tank on the road. But definitely pay attention at those intersections when you're driving near a truck on a residential street. So who do you think would win in a battle like this? I mean, here David beats Goliath, and I would love to see this guy pull a Karate Kid. He could run around in circles. But imagine he gets stuck in this guy's blind spot. The guy could probably pretty easily crush him. Or I think the exhaust alone would kill him. So just remember, when you're out there driving next to a truck, it's really not a battle you would win, because this thing is so much bigger and so much heavier and could pretty much rip through our cars like tinfoil. But it doesn't have to be anything that we're fearful of or afraid of, because again, they have gone through extensive driving practice and training to make sure that they are aware of where we are too. So we're just helping each other out to drive truck smart, not semi-stupid. So let's hear it for Shane for bringing the truck today and volunteering his time. Thank you so much. And then you can flip over your pre-test and do the post-test.